What is up, everybody? I'm back, finally. I know it's been a while, but I'm getting another One Piece vlog done. You know, on the journey, hopefully I can get to 1,000 subscribers at the end of this year. That's the goal. Still got a long way to go, so I need to start making some more One Piece vlogs to go along with the regular video essays. So right now, I'm just going to clean up the studio right now, and we've got an absolute mess in here right now. So I'm going to clean this up real quick before we can get back to talking about the Skypiea Arc. So I'll see you in just a minute so we can discuss maybe the most underrated arc in all of One Piece. Alright, so we got the studio cleaned up. Hopefully this looks alright. And obviously, I haven't come out with a One Piece vlog in a while. I kind of fell off the last 4 or 5 months really reading it, which is pretty funny because the first couple times that I tried to get through One Piece, I would always stop at the Skypiea Arc. I feel like I've seen the first handful of chapters or episodes of the Skypiea Arc like a dozen times, and for some reason, I could never get past it, but I wanted to make that finally change, and with everything going on, it's been nice to get back and reading One Piece. And to be honest with you, when I first started reading this arc, I wasn't that impressed. I wanted them to get back on the sea. I wanted to see all the people that we've been hinting at that I know that they fight later down the road. And at first, it was one of the most frustrating arcs, I thought. I really struggled to get into it, and basically all of the kind of villainous characters, I just did not care about at all. All of the quick fights, I was pretty uninterested in, but then all of a sudden, everything changed. Right at the moment of the backstory with Noland, and everything that went on with that island, the disease and everything like that was spreading, that backstory was one of the best in the series so far, and it absolutely changed my whole view on the Skypiea Arc, because from that moment on, I was totally hooked with everything that was going on in that arc. And to be honest, I might like it more than the Alabasta arc. Even though it isn't quite as grand at times, I definitely feel like this is one of the most underrated arcs, at least so far from what I've read in One Piece. And definitely, it has some really interesting thematic ideas that are explored throughout the course of the arc. So the main thing that I want to discuss when talking about this arc is specifically the last battle between Kami and Luffy, and basically the thematic explorations that come along with Noland's pursuits and kind of what's going on with Robin, and how we see that through action, which just enforces the thematic exploration that is through this arc. And so kind of the first thing I want to mention is comedy. I've talked about it at length. At times, this series feels far more just like a pure comedy than it does an action series. And you can see that through this final battle, just in how funny it is when lightning obviously doesn't affect Luffy, and how that kind of comes out of nowhere. And that also helps the logic of the world, because of course, we knew when reading that Luffy would be fine against him, and so even though there's some out there characters and abilities, there's still logic to everything that goes on through this world, which is another reason why it is so in-depth and so believable. I think one of the most interesting explorations in this is how we often get blinded by the teachings of the past, and how tradition sometimes, if a tradition is grounded in falsehood, in a non-reality, how that can affect us in the future if we're unwilling to let go of that tradition in the pursuit of progress. And that's kind of the crux of what the Skypiea Arc faces. It's exactly what happens when Noland shows up to the island, that he is bringing progress, and he tells these people, hey, your traditions are outdated and they're not based in fact. And it just shows that obviously we know he's right because of the time period that we're reading this in, that of course it would make sense that a disease could easily spread throughout an entire village like that, and that obviously the answer is not just burning people and hoping that the gods will come and save you, but taking on medicine to try to save the people around you. And it really shows that they're able to adopt this new ideology, and that is shown in the future when Luffy fights Kami. Luffy was able to win the final battle for 2 reasons. The first, he's rubber, and that's something that Kami didn't even know existed before the fight had arose. So he could have never planned for something like that, but it also doesn't take away from the fact that it existed. Even if you don't know of something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't exist. And so Luffy is able to beat him through that. And the second is because of the ball that is put on Luffy's hand by Kami. Not only is it just incredibly ironic, but it shows that even though he thinks in one way, that way can actually be turned against him through progress. And so the fight and how the action is structured in this battle just reinforces this idea of progress, and that even though we should respect the past, like what Robin talks about, and obviously in a little bit, and especially in the next episode, we'll get into how interesting of a character Robin is. She's by far, I think, my favorite character in the series all of a sudden. But she has this panel where she talks about how the people who ignore the past are doomed to repeat it. And so it's this really interesting pursuit where we should be progressing in the future. We should be looking for these new things, these new ideological pursuits, but a way that we are able to find them is through looking at the past and looking at the mistakes of the past. So on one hand, we can't completely reject the past in pursuit of progress, but also we can't let that past in our traditions hold us down so progress cannot be had. And that is shown throughout this battle in the Skypiea Arc, and that's really the main reason why I think it's so underrated, is because of this thematic and ideological pursuit that we see throughout this battle through action in the Skypiea Arc. And obviously, I think Kami is a really interesting villain. He kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really like him at first, but when he has the battle where it's the countdown battle and the structure of that really started to get me hooked. And then when you add that to the backstory and the political nature of the backstory and how each side has its own perspective and they're all based in some kind of truth, but that truth is just a little off, which has led to this super long conflict. Really, the end was super emotional, and to be honest, I think it might be my favorite arc in One Piece so far, which is super impressive considering that it took me so many times, years I've been trying to get through this arc, and all of a sudden, one backstory, and it just clicked. And I was able to realize that this arc has a lot more to it. There's a lot more under the surface than just kind of a traditional filler-ish type battle. I think this arc really encaptures everything that One Piece is able to do, and it does it extremely well. And even if it's considered a lower tier arc, right, it doesn't have kind of the impact to the rest of the world that the Alabasta arc did, hinting at Crocodile and all of the other warlords of the sea. So it may be considered kind of a lower tier arc, like they didn't get any new crew members in this arc or anything like that. But also when I compare this and the thematic progressions and stances and how that is kind of the base for the action throughout the series and how it continues up with the logic, I guess, of the world. You compare that to some other shonen arcs that are going on right now. My Hero comes to mind, even Demon Slayer, even though I've seen not enough of it, and things like Dr. Stone. This arc blows it out of the water, and a lot of people consider it to be a lower tier arc in One Piece, and so that's really why I think it is so underrated. And so I think if you haven't you know, if you're reading One Piece or you go back to certain sections, definitely don't skip over the Skypiea arc, because there's a lot of really interesting details in it, and basically how it really views progression and how we view history and how we should be kind of looking at the past and the future in a really highly sophisticated way. Of course, artwork is top notch. And overall, I really think this Skypiea arc is definitely one of the best arcs in One Piece. I know I've said that a couple of times. And so I can definitely dive into more panels specifically. If you guys would like that, definitely just comment down below. Also, let me know your thoughts on the Skypiea arc. Do you think it's as good as I do? Do you agree with kind of the viewpoint on progress and how important progression is, but you also, a huge part of that progression is understanding history? And really, I think the main message of the Skypiea arc, if there is one, is that we should always be willing to accept new knowledge, or at least try to look at it in a way and not be so stubborn with what our traditional base of knowledge is, because progress is always better than standing still. And hopefully that progress, in theory, will always lead to bettering society. Obviously, we've always taken steps back, so that's why it's so important to look at history, and we get that through Robin. But really, we should always be searching for progress. It's something that I definitely believe, and I think it's really awesome that, I mean, we're only like a third of the way through this series, but to see Oda taking even bigger leaps in the thematic progressions of the story is another kind of mark for why the Skypiea arc is so important. Gets me obviously excited for the future of One Piece. I say that every time, but now I'm truly in uncharted territory for One Piece. I've not really seen, I've seen clips of things to come. I know little bits and pieces of what's going to come next, but it's not at all like what it has been up to this point. I finally made it over the hump. I finally finished the Skypiea arc, and it is so underrated. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want to keep expanding on the One Piece vlog, especially now that it's summer. I have more freedom. I have one more year of college left. Thank goodness. I hope you guys are all staying safe through everything that's going on. I know there's so much going on in the world right now, especially where I'm at in the United States. But I want to keep pursuing the One Piece vlog. I want to expand the kind of things that is going on. So if you want to hear updates about me reading through it and just updates on this channel, at Art Essays on Twitter, that's the place to follow me at. Reach out to me, DM me. We can definitely talk. Obviously, still going for that goal, like I talked about in the beginning of the video, for 1,000 subscribers, and to see if I can get monetized by the end of 2020. And another thing, and let me know if you're a creator and you're watching this and you want to talk One Piece with me. I want to bring some creators on kind of a podcast style and talk about whatever arc I'm reading through. Definitely shout out to SOS. I'll link him down below. I've been needing to get him on, so hopefully we'll be able to work that out. If there's any creator that you think I should work with, let me know. Maybe the goal one day, once this gets a little bit bigger, is to get Briggs, because I know Briggs and Rant Cafe are reading One Piece. Briggs is one of the biggest One Piece fans that I know, and it'd be a lot of fun to talk about it with him. So I want to expand kind of the ways in which the One Piece vlog is going. Feels good to be back, and very soon I'll have a video out about the next step in One Piece after the Skypiea arc. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that. Hopefully I'll see you on Twitter as well, and see you guys in the next video.